The annual moon hunt was supposed to be the highlight of Princess Lyra's year. Every spring, under the shimmering glow of the twin moons, the best archers of the Elvari tribes gathered in the sacred clearing. It wasn't just a contest of skill, it was a dance of pride, tradition, and a touch of romance for those who hoped to impress a future partner with their bowmanship. Lyra, crown princess of the Silverleaf tribe, had never missed. Ever. Today would be no different, at least. That's what she thought until a human appeared out of nowhere and ruined everything. Hashtag, 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 hashtag the arrow that changed everything. Lyra's silver bow twanged, sending the slender, gleaming arrow through the night air. It sliced through moonlight, spinning toward the distant target like a streak of judgment itself. And then, a hand shot out of the shadows. The arrow stopped dead. In his palm. He didn't even flinch. The crowd gasped so loudly half the birds in the sacred trees flew off. Lyra blinked in disbelief. Who, what, how, she sputtered, lowering her bow. The stranger stood there, tall and broad-shouldered, his dark hair slightly messy as though he had run through half the forest to get here. A faint smirk curved his lips as he held up her arrow like a trophy. Nice shot, he said casually, as if catching deadly projectiles mid-air was a hobby of his. You caught my arrow, Lyra exclaimed, her voice cracking. He tilted his head. Was I not supposed to? No, she practically shrieked. Do you have any idea what you just did? The elders were already whispering among themselves. Lyra's heart sank as she remembered the ancient decree carved into the great oak stone centuries ago. Whosoever catches the arrow of the hunt shall claim the hand of its shooter, bound in sacred matrimony by moon and law. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Hashtag, 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 hashtag the sacred tradition nobody expected. The head elder, her great-uncle Torin, hobbled forward, his staff thumping the earth. His wrinkled face was solemn, though Lyra swore she saw the corners of his mouth twitching like he was holding back laughter. It is written, Torin intoned gravely, that if one catches the arrow of the hunt, the spirits themselves have chosen. The bond of marriage must be honored. The entire crowd turned toward Lyra, and the stranger. Lyra wanted to melt into the ground. Hold on just a second, she snapped, storming toward the man. Who even are you? Name's Kale, he said easily, still holding her arrow like it was a bouquet of roses instead of a weapon she'd spent days crafting. I was just passing through. Passing through? She repeated incredulously. You barge into our sacred grounds, intercept my arrow, and now the law says we're. She couldn't even finish the sentence. Married, he offered helpfully. Lyra made a strangled noise. Hashtag, 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 not a typical bride. The tribe, of course, was thrilled. The princess, bound by fate to a mysterious outsider? Oh, the songs they would sing. The story would be told for generations. Lyra, meanwhile, was mortified. She cornered Kale behind the feast tables as the elders began preparations for the union ceremony, which involved far too many flowers for her liking. Listen, human, she hissed, we are not getting married. He leaned against a tree, arms crossed, looking irritatingly amused. Tell that to your uncle. Or the law. Or the 15 ladies over there already weaving flower garlands. Lyra groaned. This is ridiculous. The law is ancient. Outdated. Irrelevant. Still law, though. She glared at him. Do you even want to marry me? He raised an eyebrow, eyes glinting. Well, you're not hard to look at. Lyra opened her mouth, closed it, turned bright red, and spun away with a frustrated huff. Hashtag, 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 hashtag a very uncooperative groom. The problem was Kale didn't seem remotely intimidated by her royal status. Most men stammered when she so much as glanced their way.
Kale?
He smiled.
Teased.
Leaned in far too close when she tried to lecture him about Elvari customs. When the tribal seamstresses dragged him off to be fitted with ceremonial robes, he went along cheerfully. When the elders asked him to recite the vows of binding, he memorized them in record time, despite not knowing a single word of Elvari this morning. When Lyra tried to sneak into the Elder Council tent to demand the marriage be annulled, Kale was already there sipping berry wine with Uncle Torin like they were old friends. It was infuriating. Hashtag, 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 hashtag the ceremony approaches. By nightfall, the clearing glowed with lanterns strung through the trees. The whole tribe had gathered. Drums beat softly in the distance as dancers in silver and green whirled around the great bonfire. Lyra sat in front of her mirror as attendants braided moonflowers into her hair. She scowled at her reflection. This was absurd. She wasn't ready for marriage. She barely knew this man. And yet, her mind kept circling back to the way he'd caught that arrow. Like it was nothing. Like he did impossible things every day before breakfast. She hated that it was kind of impressive. Hashtag, 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 hashtag the groom, who wouldn't play along. When Kale appeared in his ceremonial robe, deep green with silver embroidery, the tribe's crest stitched across the chest, he looked unfairly handsome. Lyra told herself that didn't matter. The elders began chanting the opening verses of the union ritual. 2 attendants handed Kale and Lyra the binding ribbon, a long silk strip they were meant to hold together as vows were spoken. Kale held one end. Lyra grudgingly held the other. The head elder lifted his staff. Do you, Princess Lyra, accept this man as your bonded? Actually, Kale interrupted. I have a condition. The entire clearing went silent. Lyra stared at him. What are you doing? She hissed under her breath. Kale's smile was easy, but his eyes were serious now. I'll only marry the princess if she wants to marry me, not because some old law says so. The crowd gasped. The elders murmured in confusion. No one had ever challenged the arrow law before. Lyra blinked at him, stunned. Hashtag, 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 hashtag a choice at last. Kale turned to her, voice dropping so only she could hear. I caught the arrow because it was about to hit a tree where someone was standing, he said softly. Not because I wanted to trap you into anything.
I don't play that way.
Lyra's throat felt tight. Here he was handing her the choice. Her choice. She thought about the way he'd faced down the entire tribe without flinching. The way he teased her, like she was a person, not just a princess on a pedestal. The way he looked at her like she wasn't terrifying at all. Slowly, she smiled. Well, she said loudly, turning to the elders, if it's my choice. The entire tribe leaned forward. Lyra looked straight at Kale. I suppose. I wouldn't mind marrying him. The cheer that erupted nearly shook the treetops. Hashtag, 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 happily ever after.
Sort of.
The rest of the ceremony blurred together in music and laughter and flower petals. Lyra and Kale tied the binding ribbon, recited the vows, and were declared husband and wife under the glow of the twin moons. Later, as the feast roared around them, Lyra nudged him. You're still infuriating, she muttered. Kale grinned, handing her a cup of berry wine. You'll get used to me, princess. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling too. After all, sometimes fate needed a little chaos, and maybe a human with quick hands wasn't the worst husband in the world.